our mail. I did not get it done in time to email it to you guys last week.
Thank you. Yeah.
I can read this out. How's that sound? About our taxpayer, okay, regarding request for refund of overpaid tax from fiscal year 16 back. The Broadwater County Board of Commissioners have reviewed the request for a refund of overpaid property tax beyond fiscal year 2015 and 2016. We understand the State Department of Revenue has refunded last year's overpayment and made the necessary corrections to your future assessments. Unfortunately, it appears that is an extent to which we can refund your overpayment. Property taxes are assessed by the State Department of Revenue. Their office is located in the Broadwater County Courthouse for your convenience, but they are a state agency. Broadwater County has no jurisdiction. Their errors must be corrected by their agency. We have a lot of people coming in there where mistakes been made. It's, I guess, practically all of it has been on the state revenue. Go ahead.
Kind of interesting, because we've been going through some tax issues, and through my discussion with Ms. Olson in the Department of Revenue in Helena, there seems to have been an error on some property that I'm involved in. And it's kind of like almost pulling teeth to try to get this point. It seems like that everything was voluntary, and then you kind of just stopped with information. So by what you're saying here is that if there is a error in calculation of property tax value, do you first go to the county, or do you go to the state entity upstairs?
Well,
Or am I
you can come to the
misunderstanding what
county,
you're saying?
but actually, what we're going to do is just refer you on to the state.
Because I guess when they did the reevaluation there a few years ago, actually, I guess there was, throughout the state, there was many miscalculations that were done. Most have just been forgotten and moved on. And so, but because of some information that came forward, and then I asked there in Helena, but it kind of just, that information stopped. As far as, it's like everybody went, I'm just a messenger, don't shoot me. And so, because of what you're saying there, so there's other people that have had mis-evaluations. Is there a possibility that a person could get a copy of some of the people that have had evaluations pertaining to the motion for which you, or the issue that you're dealing with? So I guess their name would come forward, is that?
It's a matter of public record. They've been on the agenda the last, I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
So, yeah, you can definitely look at our old agendas and see those.
okay. Yeah, I kind of haven't been come to
Yeah,
any meetings, but I happened to be here today anyways. Okay. So I can go with Ann, and she can go back into, very good, thank you.
yeah.
And there was also one thing else I may say, through some information that was going through. Are you guys aware of the law that was passed in 2015 that assisted individuals 62 years or older plus disabled vets on private property values or a payment that can be evaluated up to 50%
Can be reduced up to 50%.
on the first 200,000?
Yeah.
I just,
And I think that was in effect before then, unless maybe that was only on federal. But there's been a policy for seniors prior to that, and it might have just been on a federal return that you could reduce your taxes.
this is on your
First,
property taxes itself.
well, some of it's on personal income, it is on income also.
Right,
The Fed is.
because I know the disabled vet part was, I guess, accelerated, but the, you know, I didn't know.
But you can't go back more than a year.
Right, and it's gotta be done you gotta file it every year before April 15th, and it moves on, because there's a couple other senior citizens along the way that I chit-chatted with, you know, and they, in Gallatin County. And matter of fact, one of them just lost their property because they couldn't pay the tax. Been here for 42 years, you know. I mean, they had raised 3 families on it, and they lost it because of taxes. So there's an issue there as far as private property owners, but that's another. That is an issue in the interim committees. Do we want a sales tax or different option?
Is this gonna be a motion to accept this as a policy, or as a policy letter?
Yeah, just a policy letter, and then of course it would go to each of the people who's come to see us.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adopt this, letter as our form letter for tax issues with the Department of Revenue.
A second.
Okay, moved and seconded to accept this letter as just stated on the tax issues. Any more discussion? No more discussion, we'll go to a vote, all in favor?
I,
Motion passed.
I considered doing a policy like we talked about, but the thing is it'd be a policy not to supersede another agency. It just
Yeah.
felt a little redundant, so, I just, went to the form letter, and then, we'll go ahead and just have those typed for each of the people who comes to see us, and then get your signatures at that time, so we don't need to sign that,
Okay.
since we have it in the minutes as a vote. And then I'll have those letters ready for you guys to sign.
Anybody have anything else to bring up?
I do one other thing. We got an email from Debbie on the budget last week, and she talked about some of the funds that are over at the end of the year. The general fund is still balanced, so these are just object codes within, so we don't need to do any budget amendments. But she did have under the commissioner's object, the grievance cost. I think that should go under personnel. We also had the Griffith environmental study that was done for the BOR land acquisition. And I would like to actually have the trust board pay for that. I think it was $3,000. And that's something that we will need as a commission to approve. That really is their project. The defense with Galzagories, that is free, but there's some ancillary costs, and the Bodette case really is the city of Townsend and the sheriff's office. And those are currently both coming out of the commissioner's line item. I think we should put those to the legal defense line, if that's good with you guys.
What's the Bodette case?
I forget the details, but I think it was a gentleman, and I don't remember his first name, sued over, I think it was some kind of traffic thing, but anyway, he sued the city and the sheriff's office. I just don't remember enough details to give you any details. The only one of those really that needs any kind of agreement, I would feel more comfortable if it were a vote, is the Griffith environmental. All the others are just general
That's
fund.
3,000 one.
Roughly, I don't remember the exact total, but I think that bill should be covered by the trust board, not the commissioners.
make the motion to cover, to move those bills as quoted.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded, has environmental, study paid for by the trust board. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
And then the other one is, there's some claims upstairs with public safety. They, have put a lot of their costs on last fiscal year for vests, which we have a grant coming for, and some other ancillary costs that could go in this next fiscal year. They've overdrawn their fund by almost $24,000. We're gonna have to do an amendment there, and I think we're gonna have to review every claim to be sure that we don't approve any in the negative for last fiscal year. If there are any, we're gonna have to talk about those and make sure we get together with Debbie so we have an amendment that covers everything we need to. And then the other one, from Debbie is the maintenance CIP is actually, also overdrawn. However, that's not really overdrawn. The money went to prepay to get some of the hail damage work done. And the way our insurance works is they will reimburse us. So right now that fund is in the negative, but it's reimbursable, so we'll be getting all that back. So wanted to make sure that you knew about that in reading the email.
So that should balance itself back out, right?
More than, yes. Any questions about the budget or Debbie's email? She and I worked together on Friday for about 3 hours on the budget. And those things are things that we covered.
Wasn't there one of those was the vest that Brandon was in here talking about, right, with the sheriff's department, and that was supposed to get, it was purchased, but it was supposed to get paid through the grant, right?
Correct, and I believe that grant is we get the grant for this set amount of money, and then we can spend that amount of money on vests. So we have trickling in claims for new vests. My thinking is if we've got a grant coming, let's get it before we pay for those vests.
Yeah.
Because we can't use that money on anything else.
Okay.
And if you guys have any further questions on that email, I suggest sitting down with Debbie and getting kind
Okay.
of a rundown where we're at, how it's looking at this point.
Do we lose any money from the state since their money their revenue targets didn't hit the number? Are we gonna lose, we don't lose anything off of that?
Nope. Through the legislative session, we gave back some percentage from the entitlement share. That's a 2-year hit, but it was an agreement that was done through the legislative process. So no, it's not necessarily tied to the revenues coming in. We do lose some money, but it's really two different things.
Okay.
And it's only for 2 years, then on year 3, it goes back to where it should have been. We did, on the Board of Crime Control, we did get a legal opinion that the legislature did indeed act illegally when they put a bunch of different unrelated topics into two of their bills, House Bill 650 and Senate Bill 95. And that is what dismantled the Board of Crime Control, which will, hopefully not, but it looks like cost the state about $30 million in crime prevention.
What did they put in the bill that did that?
They transferred the Board of Crime Control from a autonomous policymaking board to an advisory board under the Department of Corrections. We no longer comply with the Omnibus Safe Streets and Crime Prevention Act or the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Acts. That's where that money comes from. Without complying with the federal laws, we're not eligible for the money. We may be okay in the short term because we were compliant when we got the grants. It's in 2 years when we reapply, we are not eligible at this point.
Well, that's a sizable amount of money.
I think so too. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Nothing else, we'll adjourn at 12:15.